Top 10 Most Powerful Arab Armies. The use of force and weapons, including weapons of mass destruction, continues to play a major role in the Middle East. Due to the increased tensions between and among Middle Eastern countries and their people, military competence is particularly important in various situations ranging from past invasions and ongoing civil wars to various terrorist threats from the world. So which countries are best equipped to deal with such a volatile security environment? Welcome to All Things Arab. In today's video, we're going to discuss the top 10 most powerful Arab armies. Watch the video to the end if you want to know which Arab country has the strongest military power. Just before we start today's video, make sure you are subscribed to the channel and turn your notifications on to never miss a single video. Now let's get started, shall we? Number 10. Bahrain. Bahrain has a $730 million defense budget and 13,000 active personnel with 180 tanks and 105 planes. The Bahraini Defense Force is heavily supplied with American military equipment, including Black Hawk helicopters and F-16 aircraft. Bahrain maintains a naval base at Jaffa that provides the U.S. headquarters for its Naval Forces Central Command and Fifth Fleet, as well as support for about 6,000 military personnel. More specifically, Bahrain receives supplementary military support from the United States post-Gulf War, which includes the sale of 54 M60A3 tanks, 12 F-16C/D aircraft, and 14 Cobra helicopters. Joint naval, air, and ground exercises have also been planned and executed to boost readiness throughout the Persian Gulf. Bahrain and the United States signed a defense cooperation agreement in October 1991, granting U.S. forces access to Bahraini facilities and guaranteeing the right to pre-position material for future crises. In 2002, the United States selected Bahrain as a major non-NATO ally. Furthermore, Bahrain's strategic geographical position has allowed it to become a key player in the management of various military conflicts in the region. Since 2003, Bahrain has been granted over $100 million in foreign military funding to settle the payments of various high-profile weapons systems, to include an AN/TPS-59V3B early warning radar, large aircraft infrared countermeasures (LRCM), as well as an Avenger air defense vehicle. Number 9. Syria. Syria has a $1.9 billion defense budget with 220,000 active personnel and 4,950 tanks with 473 aircraft. The Syrian military has been trapped in a destructive civil war. Initially, the military was a combined force and a professional army. But during the civil war, a large number of soldiers as well as numerous generals rebelled, which proved to be a serious blow to the Syrian army's organizational hierarchy. Prior to the civil war, Syria was one of the world's most powerful military forces, with a reliable air defense system that was considered to be one of the more competent in the world. Today, the strength of the Syrian army is greatly reduced, but they still have an active force, and they've been able to hold on to the most strategically important parts of the country despite being challenged by both secular and religious factions. Number 8. Yemen. Yemen has a defense budget of $1.4 billion and 66,700 active personnel, with 1,260 tanks and 181 aircraft. The Yemeni military has taken a heavy toll in its war with the Houthi rebel group, which captured the Security Department's headquarters in Sana's capital during the September 2014 attacks. Like a few other countries in this situation, the Yemeni government faced serious threats to its territory control, a fact that deprives the country of much of the benefits it can receive from its somewhat large conventional military. In response, a military coalition led by Saudi Arabia was organized and launched in 2015 to aid the Yemeni government in its fight against the rebel factions overrunning the country. Number 7. Egypt. Egypt has a defense budget of $2.7 billion and 438,500 active personnel. The Egyptian military benefits from a large defense budget, tax exemptions, and profitable private contracts. Egypt has made great strides in modernizing the military since President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi took power. With the gradual acquisition of new technological weapons, rehabilitated supply chains, and close attention being paid to the Navy. The inventory of the Egyptian armed forces includes equipment from the United States, France, Brazil, the United Kingdom, Russia, and the People's Republic of China. The extensive range of sources can cause serviceability difficulties. Egypt has been struggling to deal with an armed insurgency in the Sinai Peninsula for several years. Number 6. Morocco. From the beginning of the 21st century, the Moroccan army began a modernization program that included procuring modern equipment with the evident transformation into a more professional army, carrying out multiple exercises with allied armies. And as a major non-NATO ally of the U.S. and member of the Initiative 5+5, 10, and other cooperation agreements. The Army's modernization program took shape with the acquisitions of weapons such as the Chinese VT-1A, and MRLS AR-2, American M1A1 Abrams, and the Hawk air defense system, and the M109A5 self-propelled howitzer. Historically, the country's military was engaged in the disputed Western Sahara and monitoring its long borders. In the past, Morocco has supported the Saudi-led coalition war in Yemen. Currently, Morocco has a defense budget of $3.46 billion and 198,000 active personnel. Although the Moroccan army has a strength of 198,000, it is constantly challenged by one of the lowest defense budgets in the Middle East. Number 5. Kuwait. Kuwait has a $5.2 billion defense budget. Kuwait has 15,500 active troops and 368 tanks and 101 aircraft. Kuwait has an impressive arsenal of Patriot missiles and other high-level aerial capabilities, including FA-18 Hornet fighter jets. The U.S. also provides logistics support and training for Kuwait's base forces. Kuwait has a well-armed military, despite its modest standing with its larger neighbors. Slightly smaller than New Jersey, Kuwait shares borders with Iraq and Saudi Arabia and was occupied by Iraq in the months leading up to the Gulf War in August 1990. The Iraq operation came to an end in February 1991 after the U.S.-led coalition intervened to push back Iraqi forces. Number 4. Algeria. Algeria has a defense budget of $10.6 billion with 520,000 active personnel. Algeria is the largest Arab country in size and has invested heavily militarily since the country gained independence. The Algerian National Army has been active since its inception, first fighting a bloody war for independence. Then a horrific civil war is known as the Black Decade, followed by more than 2 decades of fighting terrorism and defending its key borders. The only country other than China that bought the Russian S-400 missile system. Number 3. United Arab Emirates. The United Arab Emirates boasts 64,000 active military personnel and a military budget of $14.37 billion, and the nation holds a high position among its neighbors in the Gulf Cooperation Council. The UAE went on to an expansive drive in 1995, which began with the 1992-93 acquisition of 436 Leclerc tanks and 415 BMP-3 armored vehicles. Based on previous experiences, the UAE decided to expand its horizons by including more than one supplier for its military. Additionally, it diversified its arms purchases, purchasing weaponry mainly from Russia, the United States, the UK, Ukraine, France, Italy, and Germany. It has also taken care to invest in the systems it has purchased and standardize them according to NATO GCC specifications. In recent years, the UAE has slowly but surely been flexing its military arms, and its comparatively small forces were arguably tested for the first time with frontline action experience in Afghanistan, Libya, and Yemen. The UAE Armed Forces consists of only 64,000 troops. However, the country's strategic geopolitical strength and technological prowess of its military arsenal well compensates for this fact. Number 2. Iraq. Iraq has an annual defense budget of $19.3 billion, with 64,000 active force members. Currently, Iraq's military budget is the second highest budget in the region. The country's military has made significant advances since its former regime, and in recent years in its war against Islamic State terrorists, recaptured the city of Mosul in October 2017 and expelled them from other parts of the country since then. They have been assisted in that task by the U.S. and other Western powers. In addition to the regular army, Iraq also hosts a number of well-established paramilitary groups across its regions. Number 1. Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia has a $56 billion defense budget with 233,500 key personnel and 1,095 tanks with 652 aircraft. geographically the largest country of the Middle East, Saudi Arabia also has the fourth highest military spending in the world. The country's accumulation of advanced military assets is largely driven by sales from the US and other Western countries. As a result, Saudi Arabia has the most updated arsenal in the region. Its Air Force has the capability of air-to-air refueling advanced military aircraft. Saudi Arabia is in a tough neighborhood. The country has a border with Iraq and Yemen, two of the most unstable countries in the region. But with 36% of people under the age of 24, a powerful monarchy, and threats from other hawkish nations and factions, Saudi Arabia might well be building up its military might in anticipation of future conflicts and rise as a champion of political stability in the region. That's all for this video. We hope you learned something new. Please leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and do share your thoughts in the comments section below. This will definitely encourage us to make more insightful videos. Till then, here's to world peace and prosperity.